As 2025 comes to a close, the non-interest finance landscape in Nigeria and across key markets continue to evolve, shaped by policy direction, capital market instruments, sustainability imperatives, and influential stakeholder conversations. Hello and welcome to Islamic Finance Weekly. I am Rahma Say Mohammed. Today, we're counting down the top 5 Islamic finance issues we covered in 2025. Conversations that not only generated strong engagement, but also reflected the priorities, progress, and prospects of the industry. We begin at number 5 with a forward looking conversation that set the tone for the year. This episode examined the prospects and emerging trends shaping the non-interest finance market in 2025, drawing insights from industry stakeholders on market growth, product innovation, regulatory direction, and institutional participation. It provided a strategic lens into where the industry was headed and what stakeholders needed to watch as the year unfolded, making it a strong foundation for the conversations that followed. Watch excerpts.
From the risk perspectives, the non-interest banking products are more customer friendly. More customer friendly in the sense that you share in the profit and loss, and they are making very, very good profits. Also, there is no uncertainty in terms of non-interest financial services. Thirdly, if you look at the takaful every year they pay surpluses. Conventionally, you pay premium. Takaful, you invest. And by the end of the year, they pay surplus. So you are in the press, you know what's happening, and you know that not a single takaful company that is not paying surplus every year.
Social finance in different ways. We have seen how Waqf is beginning to strive in Nigeria. I call it making money through God's way. Allah has enshrined that charity is very important. So our social responsibility is also very key. So I feel that we can get to God through money, whatever monies we have, like creating network. We've been able to do a lot of paying of school fees for students, especially that we have targeted the Northeast. So you have a lot of orphans, you have a lot of stray children on the street. So I feel that Nigeria is looking towards that. The Islamic financial industry is looking at social finance, and one of it, of course, is Waqf, which is very important for us.
Fintech products, more takaful, particularly in the area of micro takaful, various types of leasing facilities, and also service ijaras, etc., etc.
It's a new market for us, and it's also a new concept that is gaining acceptability in the country because of the model is a bit different from conventional, because we give you that protection, and if you have not make a claim within the financial year, you also participate in surplus distribution, which is a key thing that actually distinguishes us from the conventional insurance.
At number 4 is our coverage of FGN Sukuk VII, a milestone issuance that once again underscored the role of Islamic capital market instruments in national development. This conversation with Attahiru Machidu, the Chief Executive Officer of 117 Capital, focused on how Sukuk continues to support infrastructure financing, inclusive growth, and shared prosperity while offering ethical investment opportunities to a broad range of investors. It also highlighted the growing confidence in Nigeria's Sukuk program and its importance in bridging development financing gaps.
Apart from being displayed in terms of financing and prudential spending with respect to the Sukuk proceed, it actually reduced the road infrastructural deficit that we have in the country. In some reports, over 4,100 roads have been renovated or reconstructed since the first Sukuk of 2017 that was started to the Sukuk of 2020. The three that we did, which is the one of Sukuk VI that so far we have. Over 1 trillion naira has been raised, and they've been all utilized in renovating roads in 6 geopolitical zones.
Right.
And as a result of this, actually, another impact is it connects communities between one community to another, so they do have free way they can communicate with one another.
Yeah.
It equally creates employment opportunities that actually many people are having now, being easy movement as well as for people as well as for the goods and services they do render.
Right.
So as a result of that, actually it has a massive impact in our economy. And as we know, Sukuk is usually directly related to the real asset, real economy, and as a result of that, it has direct impact in the growth of our economy, especially here in Nigeria.
In this episode, we explored how non-interest finance serves as a catalyst for sustainable financing and development in Nigeria, aligning ethical finance principles with long-term economic and social objectives. This discussion with Dr. Bashir Oshodi, President NIFIAN and Chief Executive Officer of Trust Alpha, connected Islamic finance to ESG outcomes, infrastructure development, and responsible capital deployment, reinforcing its relevance beyond the niche market. Watch video.
Yes, the size now again is barely 1.4 trillion. Still looks small, looking like just a handful of banks. But again, we envisage strongly that within the next 12 months or so, we're going to be having another 5 standalone Islamic banks or non-interest banks in Nigeria. The Takaful companies will increase, the asset management companies are of course increasing aggressively. So unlike the global market where you have the banks ahead of the capital market, in Nigeria I can see the Sukuk taking the lead, followed by the banks. And so what I envisage is that in a very short while, you're going to see a lot of commercial papers and a lot of private Sukuk, that of course that are PENCOM compliant, that will then, if you like, swallow up the market. Right? Yeah, you can agree with me that in Fund 6, the funds, the Fund 6 that I have right now is a lovely thing. However, the funds again just barely 100 billion, compared to 24 trillion in the conventional space, right? But what you're going to be seeing shortly, you're going to be seeing a massive movement of funds, especially where the non-interest financial institutions can start to have products that are fully PENCOM compliant, and that's the drive right now. And so with such, we then envisage a lot of cash moving into the if you like, into Fund 6, from the non-interest banking space.
At number 2 is a people-centered conversation focused on financial security. This episode examines how non-interest finance products and models can help individuals, businesses, and communities build resilience, manage risk, and plan for the future. We sat with Rowan Sumanu, the Managing Director of Nuru Takaful Insurance Limited, to address savings, protection, and ethical wealth creation. This discussion resonated strongly with our audiences seeking practical financial solutions rooted in trust and inclusion.
People attach much importance to risk management in the area of being a corporate term. It's not really for corporate organizations alone, even individuals, families. They experience what we call risk. Risk is part of our lives. So it's very important for people to set certain plans, things in place to mitigate against everyday life risk. As Takaful operators and as insurance experts, it's our responsibility is to give people that rest of mind that when all these risks crystallize, we're always there to give them succor. Like I said, communication is key. Making individuals understand what risk they face on a daily basis, what risk attached to their activities, what risk is attached to their businesses. So at every point in time, communication is key. I'll cite an instance. As we are seated here, there's risk everywhere. There's a risk of fall. There's a risk that the camera that I'm facing could explode. Why? Because of maybe power surge. Different types of risk. There's a risk of fall within the office space. That someone moving around could slip, strain his legs, or harm. So there's risk everywhere. Even at homes, There's a risk that you leave the bathroom. There's every possibility you sleep, you hit your head. Chances is that there's every tendency of any untoward event happening at every point in time. And that is what risk is all about. So it is the responsibility of takaful operators and insurance experts to bring out all this risk to the attention of individuals, for them to appreciate the fact that for every step you take, for everything you do, there's always a risk attached to it.
And number one on our top 5 is a truly landmark moment for the year, our conversation with the Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi II. This discussion stood out not just for its high engagement, but for its depth, authority, and cultural significance. The Emir's insights bridge tradition, leadership, and modern finance, reinforcing the role of Islamic finance in social development, ethical governance, and economic inclusion. It was a defining conversation that captured the spirit and direction of non-interest finance in 2025. Watch excerpts.
So when we started licensing Jais, one of the big issues with getting the banking license was the amount of capital. And one of the things we did was to adjust those capital requirements to make it possible for the bank to operate. The idea basically is, like everything else, you do a pilot, a business model. If it works, people come in. And the success of Jais has led to other banks coming in. My hope is that as more and more banks come in and they succeed, then you're going to have people ready to risk more capital. And after some years, I imagine these banks should go to the capital market, should be able to show a track record of returns, should be able to grow, and should be able to become medium-sized, large-sized banks over time.
So, as we reflect on these top 5 issues, one message remains clear. Non-interest finance is no longer a peripheral conversation. It is central to Nigeria's development, sustainability agenda, and financial inclusion goals. Thank you for staying with us throughout 2025. If you missed any of these episodes, you can rewatch them on our social media platforms. We look forward to even more impactful conversations in the year ahead. And with that, I say, don't forget to keep it today to us next week on the program. Follow us on all of our social media platforms displayed on the screen. Thank you for watching. And as always, I am Rahma Say Muhammad, wishing you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.